Italy's incompetence is creating new ruins. Rome. The third floor of the Borghese Gallery in central Rome is a one-of-a-kind exhibit space called I Depositi, where the paintings are lined up in rows with scarce attribution. It is here where it is currently the only place in Italy where stored art is on display. Most Italian despite having the highest number of UNESCO in the entire world, Italy dedicates very little to its culture heritage budget. It spends the second. Conservators worry that increased budget cuts will only make the problem worse. The country is Federico Limongelli is a 35-year-old photographer who has created a Facebook page called Abandoned Treasures, in which he chronicles some of the haunting ruins of Italy's dying culture through his and others' photos. These are places that no one in Italy can even say for sure just how much art, whether masterpiece paintings or priceless ancient artifacts, the country even has. This lack of appreciation. In the last 12 months, over 8,400 archaeological artifacts have been stolen from open-air state-run institutions, according to Italy's Cultural Patrimony Police Force. Many of these have been, but it's what inside the country's museums that is even more troubling. 5 years ago, now, the International Center for the Study of the Preservation and the Restoration of Cultural Property, or ICROM, is stepping in, demanding the Italian museums make a real searchable database of every piece of art or ancient artifact, no matter how daunting the task may be. In the coming month, one of the most shocking examples of the treasures in storage is the 15th century Sfortesco Castle in Milan, which recently showed its underground storage facilities to a handful of journalists. The rooms are in the Maffei says that, like the Sfortesco Castle, most Italian state museums have twice as much art and artifacts in storage than on display. It's a gigantic. Got a tip? Send it to the Daily.
Raindrops, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that.